Let me take this opportunity to share with you the essence of over 20 years of research on a profound question. Why do some people thrive while others struggle? This discovery has transformed my life and the lives of thousands who have embraced it, and I trust it will bring clarity and prosperity to yours. Let's begin with an important truth. Successful people are not free from problems. In fact, they face challenges as numerous and familiar as anyone else. The defining difference lies in their approach. They master the art of solving problems. Success, in essence, is the ability to address life's inevitable challenges effectively. The level of success we achieve is directly tied to how well we handle these obstacles. With this understanding, let me offer a pivotal statement. If you can clearly define what you want, I can guide you on how to achieve it. The challenge for most isn't a lack of ability, but a lack of clarity on two critical elements. First, success demands a deliberate decision about what we desire most, a focus so sharp that it commands our energy until it becomes reality. Second, we must acknowledge that if we genuinely want something, it's within our capability to achieve it, otherwise the desire wouldn't exist. Another cornerstone of success is rooted in service. Our progress and rewards are intrinsically tied to the value we bring to others. Life is interconnected. Just as we rely on the contributions of others, our success hinges on what we offer in return. Simply put, our rewards in life are in direct proportion to our service. This fundamental principle, service and reward, is misunderstood by many, leading to widespread frustration and dissatisfaction. Imagine a great balance scale with one side labeled service and the other rewards. These two sides will always remain in perfect balance. The more we give, the more we receive. Some may resist this law, but their resistance doesn't alter its truth. The immutable laws of nature and economics remain constant, whether we accept them or not. Thomas Huxley put it wisely. Those who disregard these laws are checkmated without haste but without remorse. Yet for those who align themselves with these principles, life responds with an abundance that reflects their efforts and contributions. There are two types of rewards or income. The first is psychological or intangible, what we might call personal satisfaction and fulfillment. The second is tangible, like money, property, or material wealth. If a person is dissatisfied with their income, they only need to examine their service closely. The truth is simple. Our rewards will always align perfectly with the quality and quantity of our service. This principle applies universally, even in fields like science, religion, and education, where much of the reward is intangible. The fact that these individuals often measure their rewards in terms of personal satisfaction or psychic fulfillment doesn't change the reality. Their rewards are still in exact proportion to their service. Everywhere you look, this law operates with precision. A clear example lies in the success of companies like World Book and Childcraft. The reason your company is the world's largest publisher of reference materials is straightforward. Its products have been widely accepted and purchased by countless individuals and institutions. That success is built entirely on the service provided. This universal law forms the foundation of economics and personal well-being. Fix this in your mind. Any attempt to sidestep or avoid this principle will lead only to frustration and failure. So the logical question arises. If we want more than we currently have, how do we increase our service to earn it? To answer that, we must first understand whom we serve. We serve people. And the better we understand people, the better we can serve them. Picture an adult as a grown child, navigating life's challenges for the first and only time. Life, in essence, is a grand game, and a person's success depends on how well they learn and apply its rules. Here we encounter a fascinating and timeless observation. Humanity consistently divides itself into two groups. About 5% of people seem to grasp the rules of this game, while the remaining 95% never quite get the word. This divide isn't about superiority or inferiority. Neither group is inherently better than the other. What separates them is understanding. By getting the word, I mean this. 95% of people fail to comprehend, either emotionally or intellectually, that we have a remarkable degree of control over our lives. Each of us is the architect of the structure we build with our years. We all desire the same fundamental things, but only about 5% figure out how to achieve them. Opportunity unlimited. It says that within each of us burns two unquenchable ambitions: the desire to serve meaningfully and the drive to achieve financial independence. These twin goals are attainable by anyone, regardless of gender or background. Yet, according to statistics, only about 5% succeed in achieving both. Our rewards are always in direct proportion to our service. They align themselves with this truth and use it to build lives of purpose and prosperity. The lesson is clear. If we want more, we must serve more and serve better. Here lies our greatest opportunity for service, and when we focus on service, the rewards will follow naturally. The failure of most people to live successfully is not a matter of lacking ability, it's a failure to decide what they want and to understand that our desires are deeply connected to our unique talents and capabilities. Success itself can be summed up in a simple yet profound definition. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. In other words, anyone who knows where they are going in life and has decided upon a worthy goal is successful the moment they make that decision and begin working toward it. Once they achieve that goal, they must set a new one to remain successful. Without a new objective, they slip back into failure. To me, this defines what it means to live fully, moving from one achievement to another, continuously striving for higher ground. A complete life is one in which we learn as much as possible, serve as much as possible, and accomplish as much as possible. Life's purpose is found in the pursuit of meaningful progress from the first step to the last. So why, if success is simply the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, do only 5% achieve it? The answer is clear. Only about 5% of people ever take the time to decide on and define the one thing they truly want. The reason we focus on one thing is because we can only pursue one goal effectively at a time. A person's life then becomes the story of their quest, the search for a goal so compelling that they dedicate themselves to its attainment. The happiest people are those who know exactly what they seek and set out boldly to achieve it. While everyone dreams, the fortunate few discover a dream so vivid and meaningful that they commit their time, energy, and resources to bringing it to life. Tragically, the majority, the 95%, fail to recognize that the persistent daydream, that quiet whisper of a vision, is often their true calling. Instead of following this inner compass, they dismiss it and return to the broad, heavily traveled road, believing it must be the best path because it's the most crowded. But here's the truth. The road with the heaviest traffic is rarely the best road. It's the road of the 95%, a path devoid of opportunity and crowded with competition. The better road, the road of the 5%, is often less visible, less traveled, and requires the courage to follow your unique vision, even when the world around you seems to choose otherwise. The lesson is clear. Choose your road wisely. Follow the path that aligns with your dreams and talents, not the one dictated by the crowd. True success belongs to those who dare to step away from the masses and boldly pursue their worthy ideal. My journey started nearly 20 years ago, during a time when I was searching for the elusive secret to achievement. What I didn't realize then was that this secret was not only ancient, older than the pyramids, but that it had been shared in millions of books and teachings throughout history. For me, the spark of curiosity was lit back in 1933, during the depths of the Great Depression. What puzzled me then was the stark contradiction between what I had been taught and the reality I saw around me. I had learned that man is God's noblest creation, with dominion over the earth and all its creatures. But in my neighborhood, it seemed the creatures were eating better than we were. This discrepancy gnawed at me. Why were so many people struggling in a world so abundant? The earth hadn't lost its riches. There was still as much wealth, education, food, and opportunity as there had been before. Yet the people around me were poor, uneducated, and often discouraged. They lived in adequate homes while good homes stood available. It became clear to me that these good, hard-working people didn't have the answers. They were caught in a state of confusion and despair, unable to see the opportunities that surrounded them. It's true we were in a time of economic depression, but to a thoughtful person, such periods represent challenges to overcome, problems to solve, and opportunities for growth. Indeed, for many individuals, the adversity of the Depression sparked some of their greatest accomplishments. I began to realize that the difference between those who thrived and those who merely survived lay in their response to challenges. I remember reading a fable about discouragement that left a lasting impression on me. It told of a devil's sail, where he had his tools of destruction displayed. There was the sharp rapier of jealousy, the dagger of fear, and the choking noose of hatred, each marked with a high price. But on a purple pedestal, battered and worn from frequent use, sat a wedge. This wedge was the devil's most prized possession, and it wasn't for sale. He explained that with this single tool, he could accomplish his work better than with all the others combined. It was the wedge of discouragement. That fable made me realize the power of perspective. Discouragement, when it takes hold, can drive a wedge into even the strongest resolve, undermining confidence and ambition. Yet it is within our power to recognize it, to see it for what it is, a temporary obstacle, not a permanent condition. For those willing to face it head-on, discouragement can become the catalyst for the greatest growth and achievement. This understanding set me on my path of study, a quest to uncover why some rise above life's challenges while others are defeated by them. The answers are there for anyone willing to seek them, and they can transform not just our circumstances but our entire outlook on life. I remember well that the people in my neighborhood were, by and large, a discouraged group. Discouragement, you see, stems from one of two things: either a lack of information or a situation over which we truly have no control. But the latter is exceedingly rare. Nearly all discouragement can be traced to the former and absence of the knowledge needed to make the right choices. For instance, if someone were to step off the top of a tall building, discouragement in midair would certainly be justified, but even that could be traced back to a lack of understanding, ignorance of the unyielding law of gravity. When I asked these people why we were facing such difficulties, their response was all too human. They pointed fingers, they blamed others, external circumstances, and anything they could, except for the one place where the answer truly lay within themselves. These were the 95%, the majority who remain in the same cycle of frustration and failure, and I made it my mission to uncover what separated them from the 5%, the individuals who thrive not just financially but in all areas of life. The answers, as it turned out, weren't hidden. They were in books, in the teachings of great minds, and in the timeless wisdom of the Bible. But these answers went unread. Many owned a Bible; it was fashionable, just as owning a set of Shakespeare was a mark of culture, but they never opened them. They lacked the information that could have transformed their lives. They didn't understand the rules of this game called life, and as a result they were checkmated, as Thomas Huxley said, without haste, but without remorse. Without a goal, without a clear purpose, they were adrift. They clung together, thinking there was safety in numbers, not realizing that conformity with the majority almost always leads to mediocrity. They didn't understand that aligning themselves with the 95% all but guaranteed they'd miss out on life's most meaningful opportunities. History provides us with undeniable proof of this. Out of the billions who have lived, every great advance, every monumental idea has come from a tiny fraction, a mere handful of individuals. And how has society reacted to these trailblazers? From Socrates to the Wright brothers, every great thinker and innovator has faced ridicule, scorn, and persecution. Many have paid the ultimate price for their contributions. Why? Because the masses lack knowledge, understanding, and the willingness to break away from the crowd. What lessons can we as individuals draw from this? Two profound truths. First, to achieve anything worthwhile, we must stand as individuals. We need individual goals, independent thinking, and deliberate action. Second, while we must love, serve, and uplift others for our own success is tied to how well we serve, we must never allow ourselves to be absorbed into the faceless crowd. Conforming to the masses, the 95%, is to surrender our individuality, our potential, and our purpose. Now there's value in emulation, but only when we emulate the right examples. Look to those who embody the qualities or achievements you aspire to, not the crowd, never the crowd. And what of the great secret to achievement? The one I spent nearly 2 decades searching for. Its simplicity eluded me, as it eludes most, precisely because it's so plain, so fundamental. I had imagined it was something complex, something requiring years of study and deep intellectual preparation. But it turned out to be something so simple that even a child could grasp it. 6 words. We are what we think about. That's it. Our thoughts shape our reality. What we consistently think about becomes the compass of our lives, leading us either toward success or into the very discouragement and failure we seek to avoid. Understand this, apply it, and you've unlocked the greatest secret to life. Our minds, our thinking, hold the reins of our destinies to an extent that most people never realize. Take a moment to reflect on this, and you'll see how obvious, clear, and profoundly simple it is. If we truly become what we think about, and if we can direct our thoughts, then we hold the power to shape our own future. This is what I meant earlier when I said that each of us is the architect of the structure fashioned by our years. If we're uncertain or confused about what we want to achieve, that confusion will be reflected in our lives and circumstances. But if we have clarity, if we know exactly what we desire and set our minds to it, it must come to fruition, provided we are not thwarted by forces beyond our control. Each of us has the ability to direct the course of our lives, to progress from one success to another, to play the game of life by the rules, and to reap its rewards. This means we can enjoy peace of mind, live calmly, cheerfully, and confidently, and achieve the success we seek. At this very moment, you are the sum total of the thoughts you've held up to now. You cannot be anything else. But here's the exciting part. 5 years from now, you can be anything you dream of becoming. You can achieve anything you commit your entire heart and mind to. That is the promise of this extraordinary law. Now let me share a way for you to use this principle to accomplish more in the next 5 years than most people achieve in 40. Success in life is always dependent on doing what the majority avoids or neglects. It's not about looking down on others or making comparisons between the 5% who succeed and the 95% who do not. It's simply an observation of how things are. And if we fail to recognize this, it will only hinder our progress. Earlier, I made a bold statement. If you can tell me what you want, I can tell you how to get it. This wasn't meant to sound mysterious or elusive. The real challenge in life isn't achieving our goals. It's setting them. A ship doesn't leave the harbor without a destination. An industrial plant wouldn't operate if it didn't have a product to produce or a purpose to fulfill. Games like football or baseball wouldn't make sense without goals or home plates. Every business exists for a reason. Every game has an objective. The same principle applies to your life. Your mind, like a ship's rudder or a business's purpose, needs a clearly defined aim. Without it, you drift aimlessly at the mercy of the tides and winds of circumstance. But with a definite goal, you can chart your course, harness your thoughts, and move steadily toward the life you desire. It all begins with knowing what you want, and that, my friend, is the first step to unlocking the incredible power within you. Let's return to the analogy of the ship. Imagine stepping onto the navigation bridge and asking the captain where his vessel is headed. Without hesitation, he'd tell you the name and location of his next port of call. There's not an ounce of doubt in his mind. Now here's a question for you. Can you, in one sentence, confidently state your destination in life? The captain knows an important truth: his ship can only arrive at one port at a time. It's impossible to reach two destinations simultaneously. He also understands that for the majority of his journey, 99% of the time, his destination will remain invisible. Yet he presses on, certain it's there, and knows he'll reach it if he keeps following the right course each day. One morning, that port will emerge on the horizon, and the ship will sail into it, voyage successfully completed. Once the business of that destination is finished, the captain will chart a course for his next predetermined port. As cycle planning, sailing, and achieving will carry him and his ship from one success to another throughout their lives. It's this understanding, focusing on one goal at a time, that allows a ship to reach hundreds of ports over its lifetime. There will be challenges, storms, and unforeseen obstacles, but these are met and overcome. The ship moves ever forward, fulfilling its purpose and contributing to the greater good. Now think about those who live by this same principle. They too progress steadily from one success to the next. But here's the paradox. Most people don't live this way. They're like ships without rudders, aimlessly drifting at the mercy of the winds and tides. They hope, perhaps even dream, of arriving at a prosperous port one day. But as you and I know, for every safe harbor entrance, there are thousands of miles of treacherous coastline. The odds of drifting into success are overwhelmingly against them. These individuals, unaware of the rules of life, fall prey to the belief that circumstance controls their fate. They put their trust in luck, superstitions, or chance encounters, convinced that success hinges on who you know, not what you know. They cling to these false beliefs and excuses while time marches on, leaving them behind. The laws of life are fair and just, yet they show no favoritism. Those who fail to understand and play by these rules are quietly, but inevitably defeated. Now let's talk about you. Remember, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What's your ideal? What's the goal you're working toward today, yesterday, and tomorrow? Can you clearly articulate it in a single sentence? Is your destination as sharply defined as the captain's port of call? Let's revisit a message from Opportunity Unlimited. It states that within each of us burn two great ambitions: the desire to serve meaningfully and the desire to achieve financial independence. The first of these, meaningful service, you've already begun to achieve by being part of the World Book Childcraft organization. Now let's turn our attention to the second ambition: financial independence. Financial independence, like any worthwhile goal, begins with clarity of purpose. Just as a ship charts its course to a specific port, so too must you chart your course toward this objective. Define it clearly, focus on it daily, and steer your thoughts and actions toward it. Every job, no matter what it may be, holds within it the seed of greatness, the key to everything we desire. But this key doesn't reveal itself automatically. We must seek it, think deeply, and commit ourselves to uncovering it. Now, since only about 5% of people truly make the grade in their chosen fields, it's clear that success isn't a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. To place ourselves in that top 5%, we need to make two crucial decisions. The first decision is to commit fully and without reservation to your career. Decide once and for all that this is what you're going to do, that this is the field in which you'll dedicate your time, energy, and talents. Why? Because the opportunities within this field are immense. Take, for example, the World Book Organization. Over the past 13 years, its sales have grown by an astonishing 800%, and projections show this growth doubling within the next 5 years. In an era of a dynamic economy and an exploding population, being part of a growing, thriving industry like this puts you in a position of virtually unlimited potential. One of the greatest obstacles to success is indecision. It keeps us from giving our best. Picture someone working with one hand while constantly looking around with the other distracted, unfocused. They achieve little of substance because their efforts are divided. But once you truly decide that this is your path, you'll experience an extraordinary transformation. That mental weight, that uncertainty about where you belong will lift. You'll finally know where you stand in the world. You'll know that you have a place where your work matters, where you can serve, where you're respected, and where you're building something meaningful. The second decision is equally vital. Commit to becoming a professional in your field. Here's the distinction: there are two ways to approach your work. You can either compete or you can create. Most people compete. They do what everyone else does, follow the same routines, and accept the same results. And if that's what you want, that's perfectly fine. But if you aspire to more, if you want to reach the heights of true success, then you must become a creator. When you create, you step into a league of your own. You're no longer trying to keep up with the competition. You're setting the standard. And here's the remarkable thing. When you choose to create, there's no limit to what you can achieve. You'll begin to see opportunities others overlook. You'll find solutions others can't imagine. And you'll distinguish yourself not just as someone who works in your field, but as a master of it. So make these two decisions. Decide to commit to your career, and decide to become a professional, a creator. The path to greatness is there, waiting for those who are willing to step forward and claim it. Will you be one of them? We hear a great deal these days about something called security. It's a word that carries weight, something almost everyone desires, yet very few truly understand. Ask the average person what security is, and you'll get vague answers often centered around one thing: a job. But here's the truth: a job can never provide security. Not in the way most people believe. A job, by its very nature, is dependent on factors beyond our control. It can be taken away in an instant, for any one of 1,000 reasons. I saw this firsthand during the Great Depression. In 1933, I watched men and women who had placed their entire sense of security in their jobs lose everything when those jobs disappeared. They weren't just unemployed, they were lost. They felt as though the ground had been swept out from beneath their feet because they'd put their faith in something external, something fragile. True security doesn't come from the outside. It can't be found in a job, a title, or even a bank account. Real security comes from within. It's an inner strength, a quiet confidence that radiates outward. When a person has this kind of security, you can see it. You can feel it. It's in the way they walk, the way they carry themselves. When they sit down to a meal with their family, that sense of calm assurance is tangible. It's warming, reassuring, and unshakable. And here's the most remarkable thing. Once you possess this kind of inner security, no one and nothing can take it from you. Strip a person of their possessions, take away their home, their job, even their savings, and if they have this security within, they'll rise again. Drop them anywhere, and in a year's time they'll have rebuilt what they lost. Like cream rising to the top of milk, they will always find their way back up. So, where does this kind of security come from? It comes from excellence. From becoming a professional in a world of amateurs. True security is the result of doing what we do better than anyone else, of mastering our craft and dedicating ourselves to continual growth. Becoming a professional isn't complicated, but it does require discipline. It begins with knowledge, deep, thorough knowledge of what we do and who we serve. In our case, that means understanding what we sell, who we sell to, and the art of selling itself. Those three pillars, our product, our audience, and our craft, are the foundation of professional excellence. Mastery doesn't happen overnight, but by dedicating just an hour a day to study, over time, we can become outstanding in our field. In 5 years or less, we can become true professionals, the kind of people who are in demand, no matter the circumstances, who can write their own ticket in good times and bad. And when you're a professional, you don't just earn a living, you build a life on your terms, one of freedom, confidence, and unshakable security. Second is planning, one of the most crucial yet often overlooked steps on the path to success. Planning means putting our goals into writing, clearly and in detail. Imagine a ship setting sail. Before it leaves the harbor, the captain charts a course to the next port of call. The ship doesn't drift aimlessly, it moves with purpose, one destination at a time. And so it is with our lives. We must choose a specific goal, a clear port of call, and commit it to paper. Let's begin by deciding what financial independence means to us. Is it a certain income? A particular lifestyle? Once we've defined it, we know precisely what we're working toward. And here's the beauty of it. Once we reach that first goal, we can chart a new course toward the next one. The person who does this is often labeled lucky. People marvel at how opportunities seem to fall into their lap. But it isn't luck, it's the result of careful planning and positive, consistent effort that naturally attracts success. I cannot overstate the importance of writing down your goals in vivid detail. If your goal is a new home, find the plans or at least an illustration and keep it with you. Look at it often. If it's a specific amount of money, write down that exact figure down to the penny for the coming year. This act of writing and visualizing transforms your dreams into something tangible. It sets you on a clear course, like the ship heading for its destination. And as long as you stay the course, you'll achieve in a few short years what most people never accomplish in a lifetime. The third essential step is working. Success demands work, often more than the average person is willing to give. But with the right planning and knowledge, work doesn't feel like drudgery. It becomes a natural and even enjoyable process. There's a secret to this: energy. To work effectively, we need energy, and energy is born of desire. When we lack a true desire to achieve something, we find ourselves drained, listless, and unfocused. But when we are deeply committed to a goal, energy flows to us effortlessly. Desire and energy are inseparable. Once you've crystallized your goal in your mind and truly believe in it, doubts begin to fade. You'll find yourself moving forward with confidence and vigor. With the image of your goal firmly fixed in your mind, you'll have all the energy you need to bring it into reality. Remember, you become what you think about most of the time. So think often of your goals, work toward them with focus and determination, and you'll find that the very act of striving will bring you closer to the life you've envisioned. William James once wrote in his essay on vital reserves, "Compared with what we ought to be, we're only half awake. Our fires are damped, our drafts are checked. We're making use of only a small part of our possible mental and physical resources." He observed that most people live far below their true potential. We possess immense powers, both mental and physical, that remain largely untapped. As James put it, we energize below our maximum and behave below our optimum. But he didn't leave us without hope. He went on to explain that excitements, ideas, and efforts, in a word, are what carry us over the dam. What he meant is that by engaging our minds and taking deliberate action, we can break through the barriers that hold us back. When we do this, when we push past the initial feelings of fatigue or doubt, we often discover an exhilarating second wind, a surge of energy and inspiration that propels us toward our goals. Think of the great men and women throughout history. They seemed tireless, didn't they? Their work wasn't a chore. It was a passion. They were driven by a vision so compelling that it filled their world. Work became not an obligation, but an expression of who they were. Now, what about you? What's your vision? Many people struggle to define their goals, yet we know that success is impossible without one. So here's a simple exercise. Take some time alone, free from distractions, and write down a detailed description of the person you want to become. Be specific. What does this person do? How do they think? What have they achieved? Once you've captured that vision, begin acting as if you already are that person. Carry a vivid mental image of this ideal version of yourself and revisit it often. Day by day, your actions will align with that image, and before long, you'll find yourself becoming exactly what you envisioned. Why does this work? Because you're using the greatest tool you have, your mind. And as the great truth reminds us, you become what you think about. The only thing about a man that is a man is his mind. Everything else you can find in a pig or a horse. Take a moment to let that settle. It's a powerful truth. What sets us apart, what defines us as human beings, is our minds, our divine minds. Everything that matters to us, our love for our families, our dreams, our faith, our talents, our knowledge, our aspirations, exists through the power of our minds. And yet the mind is often the last place people turn for help. The truth is, your mind is a treasure chest of limitless potential, filled with riches waiting to be discovered. But like any treasure, these riches won't reveal themselves unless you actively search for them. Prospecting your mind is much like mining a rich, unexplored continent. And the only tools you need are systematic study and focused thought. Think of your mind as a muscle. It will grow stronger and more powerful only to the degree that you exercise it. Imagine devoting just 1 hour a day to studying and improving your understanding. That's 5 hours a week minus 260 hours a year. Over 5 years, that adds up to 1,300 hours, the equivalent of 162 8-hour days dedicated entirely to mastering your field. Now, imagine what that could mean for your life. In 5 years, you could be among the top professionals in your field. You'd be someone who writes their own ticket in life. The time will pass anyway. Whether you use it to grow or let it slip by is up to you, but the opportunity is there, waiting for you. Consider this. The average person works about 8 hours a day, 50 weeks a year for 40 years. That's enough time to master anything. The question is, will you use it? Will you invest in your mind, that divine gift that sets you apart? Because when you do, you'll find the world opening up to you in ways you never dreamed possible. P.G. Hamilton once wrote, "A strong life is like that of a ship of war, which has its own place in the fleet and can share in its strength and discipline, but can also go forth alone to the solitude of the infinite sea." We ought to belong to society, to have our place in it, and yet be capable of a complete individual existence outside of it. Remember this. The strangest secret in life is also its greatest truth. You become what you think about. Keep your thoughts focused on your goal, and success will be yours.